to another episode of An Inside Job, War on Addiction. This is show number 53. Unbelievable. And I'm here with my friend Danny. And we are going deep into what we're made of, or what it's like coming in. That's what part of the show, or at least part of the show, the point of the show, one of the points of the show is seeing it through our eyes. I have the parent, the husband or wife, the child, siblings, on and on. They are going through, they are having to go through that nightmare, that devastation, a parent losing a kid, OD, the things that they have to go through. Where is he tonight? Or, you can't come to this house anymore. I'm sorry. We're missing this. We can't do it anymore. How heartbreaking is that? We can't do it anymore. And for some, the kid ends up dead. All right? And then that whole thing, this epidemic, I'll say, it just reaches out so far. It's not just the addict. It just in AA they say it's a family disease.
And now it's a national family disease, international, with the scope that that you talk about the addiction epidemic. As a world, hopefully as we're regarding ourselves as a family, all earthlings or whatever, but the thing is so big, and we're packed so tight on this planet that everybody's affected by it, and so we all have to come to terms with it one way or the other.
So the family is looking at it. They have a lot of insight into this disease, but they are seeing it through their eyes. I'm looking for, or the point is for society to try to look at it through our eyes.
Because the family has to, ultimately, the family has to stand back and say, okay, you get in the 1954 Chevy with all ball tires, with this crazy toothless guy and a cigar, and these other yo-yos. They say they can get you sober. They've been sober a number of years, so here you go. The family has to let go of what becomes the patient, and let the quote-unquote doctors of sobriety take on the problem and deal with it,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, too, where people, you hear about in an open speaker meeting where anyone can come, people come to observe or come to support a family member or something, and and the things they hear, that we have to laugh at as a way of, poking holes in the demon or whatever. Like a friend of mine down in Northborough, where I spent a lot of time, used to say, he'd say, you come to meetings, and you're up there speaking, and if you ask to speak, you're sharing, and you're going on and on with the elements of your story, and something like, and I strangled my grandmother for a 6-pack of beer, And everybody in the audience goes, yeah, me too. Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
No problem.
Exactly. That was part of my healing.
Yeah. Yeah. And we realize there's nothing, no sin that, hasn't been committed, no mistake that hasn't been made, that hasn't already been made. And that these people who helped get us sober in the beginning, they've done it. And that's why when we share our experience, strength, and hope. And so the newcomer or whatever is listening to it and say, oh my God, that guy did this and that and the other thing. And that's why we say to identify with the speakers, don't compare, because, one of the greatest crazy stories I ever heard was about a guy who loaded up his like I don't know, Lincoln Continental convertible or something. He's got a couple of cases of whiskey in the back seat, and he's driving to South America through, from Texas or something, through South America, through Central America to South America.
Yeah.
And I can picture him there drinking, throwing the bottles out, the dust is swirling around him. And, but we say when we're new, or no, it can happen anytime, actually. You hear a speaker that you haven't heard before, and you say, well, gee, I didn't do it. I didn't do that, and I didn't do this, and I didn't do it that way, or, I was in a whole different, framework type of situation, cultural background, whatever. And, but I felt exactly the way that guy felt, for him when he, punched the Pope or something. I never did that, but I punched my father, and so I can identify with the feelings, although the details of the circumstance are different. But we and again, when we're ready and when we come around enough and listen enough, we hear enough of these stories, so we're not shocked anymore. And, we can even open up about, well, you know what I did one time? Jeez, I never told this to anybody, but now I'm going to tell it to you, 100 people. I did thus and such.
Right.
And everybody goes, yeah, okay, yeah, me too. Or other people start laughing, and then
I know.
It releases it in you, and you go, huh, yeah, I guess I'm not the only one that's done such a thing. Yeah, we're all humans. We're all part of the human family. We're all a spiritually infused species on the planet, and we're all together. And that's one of to me, the grace that comes with admitting you're an alcoholic or an addict and opening up, to receive the help and
also accepting it.
Yeah.
They're two different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The acceptance, it's a big thing that we talk about in the program, that there are so many things that we don't understand, at the present juncture anyway, how, things that happen to us or that have happened to us in the past. How can that make sense? It was just, it was too hurtful, too painful. And you don't understand it? Well, you don't need to understand it right now. And I believe there will come a time in the vast scope of eternity, we will understand. And it says, I'm not a biblical scholar or whatever, but it does say someplace in the Bible about seeing, we will come to a place where we understand, and or as the Incredible String Band said in one of their songs, we'll understand it better in the sweet by and by. All will be one. So that's a bit of solace for me to say, I don't even have time in one lifetime to absorb all the knowledge that I'm supposed to, let alone figure out all my problems or the reason, why did the Second World War happen? Why the Holocaust? Why did Peter, Ivan the Terrible slay 6 million people? Why? We can't know it. We don't know it. And hopefully we can come to a place of acceptance and say, okay, there is something right in the universe, something constant, something true, something verifiable that we can use as a sounding, as a guideline. There's something right in this universe, and it ain't me, and it probably isn't you. But that's why we talk about a higher power, whatever you want to term that. That I call it a force, and intelligence. I mean, all the, when you see all the things of science and biology and chemistry and all that, which I didn't take a lot of stuff in high school that I was supposed to take, but all this stuff is going on, and it's all got a plan. The atoms and the amoebas and everything, they got something going on. Where's the intelligence that is guiding them? Somehow it's coming through them and hopefully coming through us, because we're made up of those atoms.
How about if we come back down to Earth for a little while?
Yeah. I've been there. Yeah.
Don't enjoy it. I want to go back to the family. Enabling, that's one big thing. Maybe when we're sober, but certainly when we're out there drinking and drugging, we are so full of shit. We are so full of shit that we don't even know. We don't even know it. Manipulating, let's say mom, it's whatever. I've met some of the best liars in the world, and one of them's in my family.
I used to have a bartender, and I was working at a restaurant, and I was due to show up at 4 o'clock. I'd stop in the bar at 11 o'clock and start nursing myself back to consciousness or whatever. If he saw that I was getting too bad, the bartender, my friend, at a certain point, he'd call up work for me and tell me, I'm Dan's brother. He's not doing well today. He probably won't be in. But that was a beautiful thing that was enabling me in that circumstance.
Yeah. We're so, it's beyond fortunate. It was, I believe, a gift from the universe or karma, whatever, that we are sitting in here sober. There are so many that just don't make it. Some come in, they decide to go back out, 5 years, 10 years. I'm healed. I've been sober this amount of time. I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to give it a shot. And then waking up, for some, waking up the next day and saying, that wasn't too bad. And then the way it progresses. So within 2 weeks or 2 years, it's going to get to the point where you're on your knees again, and probably in worse shape. One person explained it as, you're sober, the needle comes off the record. All right, you pick up again, the needle goes right back to the same place or worse. It's just in us.
They say the disease is progressing even while we're not using or drinking. And I know for me, especially that second time that I relapsed in 1980, that I was home with the shades pulled. A week later, I had, you know, a couple of quarts of sherry I was drinking. Good sherry, Taylor sherry, pale dry sherry.
Taylor?
Yeah, pale dry sherry.
No, that sucked.
Well,
We both like sherry.
Yeah, yeah, the fortified wine.
Harvey's Bristol Cream, that was one of mine.
Yeah.
I was on a different level.
Yeah, you had class. I didn't. But you know, the shades were pulled down, and I was drinking and not talking to anybody, not going anywhere. How did I get there? Geez, I thought I was going to pick up. You know, I thought I was going to drink a few times and go out and to the disco club. I don't even know if they had disco by then. But I was going to. It was going to work. I was going to feel good. It was going to smooth my problems. And, you know, fortunately that time I got shanghaied by my dear friends in AA. They came and beat down the door or whatever they did, threw me in the car.
Who was it?
It was
Tommy?
Tommy D. and Paul. I think he was there too. And Paul C. And, you know, threw me in the car, drove me up to Narcag Hospital. And I still thought I was making it because Paul was with me. We sat down in the receptionist's office, and she said, "Okay, let's see here, Dan Parmenter, okay, and that is, you know." She looks at the two of us, and I go, "It's him, the bastard. He's going to deny it, but it's him." And she said, "Okay, I guess we got a winner here. Bring him in."
I went up, first time, I've been so fortunate. I stopped drinking and I never looked back. But I came into Narcag Hospital. You took me up there. You were sober a year before, and I remembered that and called you up. And 3 days it took with your help. But I came in, let's just say drunk, leave it at that. And there was a nurse, and she was very good looking. And she took
they all
my,
are.
yeah. She took my blood pressure, and I said, "You are too beautiful," because I'm very charming, and that's causing my blood pressure to be up or whatever it was. And I'm beat up. I got one bag, you know, and still very charming.
And they, at least at Narcag, and they treat you. You know, they honor your grace or whatever. I know the morning I woke up, I cussed a beautiful, lovely, I mean, nurse who was, you know, a mother figure or whatever, and I cussed her up and down.
Really?
Oh my Christ! I said, awful, terrible stuff, and a couple of the guys across the room were going to come over and put me through the wall. And she said, "No, Dan's not himself this morning. He'll be doing better later." And, you know, sure enough, the next day or the day after, I apologized and stuff. But, you know, yeah, we're treated, usually treated well by people who have an understanding of the ins and outs of the disease. And
I woke up that next day, and it was brutal because I was hungover, and everything was over, and Jesus Christ. Okay, so I wake up, I'm just in agony, and then I remember I took a half an ounce of weed with me, and they didn't check my clothes good enough, so the weed was in there, papers, everything. So I walked down there. I want to get something out of my thing, so I had the half ounce, and
in those days, you could afford a half ounce. Today,
right. We don't even know anymore, but actually, that helped me to just, because I loved weed, that helped me to deal with this horrible situation I created. And I smoked for 3 days, 4 days maybe, and that it was a holiday weekend. It is now my wife, but she was head counselor, and we had lived together for a little while, 10 years prior. And she called me in the office, and she said, been hearing some things about you. And one of the things is we're giving you the medication, and then we're cutting you down to the next medication. But it's not working. You're still as high as... So she said, don't even try. I know you. And she said, either put down all the toys, which I had to do, and I didn't want to do it with the weed. I argue with Jack Brazel. He was my counselor. You know, I am not giving this up, and the whole thing. She said, put down all the toys, or go. Simple as that. Just go. So, after a lot of thought,
soul searching,
I was Knockheg, beautiful place, and it's on a lake, and put my weed. I said, okay, God, I'll put this down. Please get me sober. So put the weed in a plastic bag, put a rock in it to make sure it went to the bottom, and it didn't. It just floated away, and it was evening, and I mean, into the sunset.
Too bad you couldn't set it on fire, put it on a flaming barge. I thought you'd maybe give it to the chipmunks or the squirrels or something.
No. And that was it. That was it. I put down all the toys, and for whatever reason, it worked. All right, whether God would,
yeah, for whatever reason, that's the miracle.
For whatever
we don't
reason.
know.
Why the hell are we sober? How am I sober? And I have this brain surgeon that's my bunkmate or something, and he just can't get it. He just can't get it. He can't stay sober, and it probably killed him, A priest, when I was getting sober, a priest, I said, what? A priest? And it just took so long for me. It just took so long. And I was not with AA lonely, but there was nothing left outside. There was nothing left, nothing out there for me. And so...
Which is the way it has to be, because we can't have the option of going back to some to a dysfunctional framework that we can manipulate into carrying us a little more. Everything's, and to me, when you come in to recovery, you got two things. You got the disaster of your nervous system and your brain and your emotions. And then you look back or you look around, and you've got the catastrophe of a train wreck that is your life, and it's all in the wake, and you go, oh, yeah. Well, and then we are told, you better just deal with yourself for now, and you can take care, you can spend the rest of your life cleaning up the other stuff, however long it takes. But yeah, until we come to terms with ourselves and straighten ourselves out. And I think people...
5 minutes.
Oh, people in recovery that are not ready, too, will say, but what about the train wreck? What about the train? I got to go back and fix that. I can't unplug and, concentrate on myself. And, we are told you have to fix yourself or you're never going to fix anything. And there'll always be a new train wreck after you fix the old one.
Right. AA, big organization, a big
disorganization.
Yeah, thank you. So there's many different personalities. We know we're all sick. We understand that. But it's a lot of input, and some of it's good, and some of it's bad. I remember one girl saying, talking about the steps of AA, which we should put on, and also a meeting list.
You remember a girl saying?
Yeah, thank you. She said, my sponsor's having me, it's a 4th step, but write out everything I did. Write out everything. I'm, a month sober, and I'm going to write everything that I did down. She said, every time I get to that point, I go out and get drunk. I said, well, don't do it. Yeah. Don't do it. Wait, 5 years, and then going to make amends. I gotta go back, and I gotta straighten everything out. I have to apologize, and and some of them, they don't want to hear it because we did it a million times when we were drinking.
Or if you step on their property to apologize to them, they're going to blow your head off with a shotgun.
Right. So some of it.
Yeah, we make living amends by.
That's all they wanted to hear, that I was staying sober. And that's it. That was my amends to the universe, that I was staying sober, and then I was able to help others, which helped myself. We were both, when we came in, we paid attention. A lot of AA and a lot of the fellowship and just everything that goes with it. We're sitting here, and hopefully we're helping a person or two, but we know we're helping ourselves. And when we walk out of here, we feel pretty good, pretty good.
Too late to drink this afternoon anyway.
No, it's...
No, it's always a good time to drink, yeah. For an alcohol.
One guy in getting sober, that's it, we got to wrap it up. I was thinking, this is a rappy, and a rappy is that we're wrapping it up, but I'm happy. Huh?
Yeah.
It just came to me.
Hey, that's good.
No,
Write it down. Sell it.
Yeah. All right, thank you. One more in the vault.